Welcome to the RAS Project, a conversation about life, entrepreneurship, personal development, family tech, and marketing. My name is Ivan Temelkov, and I'm your host. What's in this podcast for you? Here you will grasp life-changing advice to help you level up every aspect of your life in business, to help you reach your goals and dreams. As always, all content is 100% real, raw, and unfiltered. On today's episode, I'm excited to bring Jeremy Rubin, aka the Friendly Flipper, back to the show, who's in a mission to flip lives. He is a full-time real estate investor who specializes in the fix and flip and creative deal space. His real estate journey began in 2014 when he made the decision to build a path to freedom from his corporate job. He's been called a corporate dropout after spending 13 years in retail sales and management. And he knew it was time to change the trajectory of the rest of his life. Without any prior real estate or contracting experience, Jeremy taught himself how to wholesale real estate, quite literally, one step at a time. Jeremy, welcome to the show, man.
Ivan, thank you so much. Great to be here with you, man.
Awesome, dude. So it's been a minute. Me and you chatted a couple of years ago. I think we did some Facebook Live stuff, and I think you were just on the brink of kind of getting the Friendly Flipper Academy started. So let's start off with, tell us in a couple of minutes, how did this all start? Like, how did you get into real estate?
Well, I think you touched on it there a little bit. I was a corporate retail employee out of high school, worked at Circuit City and then Verizon Wireless. And that turned into a couple of years at Circuit City and then a 11-year career at Verizon from part-time sales to full-time sales to supervisor to sales management, and got to a point where I realized that I didn't want to do that for another 40 years. I couldn't see myself walking into a gray box for another 40 years to basically retire on, maybe the same amount that I was earning at the time. And so I decided to take things into my own hands and start pursuing different types of businesses, and tried a few different things that failed along the way, and then eventually came upon real estate. And that was the thing that resonated with me, and what I was eventually able to turn into a career and a path to freedom from the corporate world.
Yeah. So we've been friends on Facebook for at least a couple of years, I think now, and I've been watching your journey, and you've done some amazing things. Like you said, you've been able to build, the freedom, the path to something that gives you a runway for the things that you want to do in life and in business, right? Like you said, I think a lot of people, especially right now, with everything that's happening in the world, have come to a realization that, do I really want to go into that gray box for the next 40 years? A lot of people are thinking about that. So I'm great to hear. I'm excited to hear that you made that leap and you realize that there's more to life than just getting up in the morning and doing the same shit every single day, going to a job, dead-end job in most cases, because let's face it, over 80% of Americans are broke. They work a dead-end job. They don't even have $500 in their bank account. And so, but a lot of people are just keep doing the same shit every single day because they think that if I do it long enough, then I'm going to advance, right? So when you got into real estate, how did you go about like educating yourself? I mean, was it just like a trial and error type of thing?
Very much so. It was a lot of basically searching online it all started with searching online how to work from home, keyword searches like how to work from home, home-based businesses, how to start your own business, and just, watching hundreds and thousands of YouTube videos of just different types of things, dabbled in affiliate marketing, day trading, even had an auto detailing business for a while. And all of that, didn't really seem like the right fit. But what that showed me is that to find the right fit or to find your purpose is really all about exploring and trying different things. And eventually your purpose will find you because you'll come in alignment with something that you enjoy and that you're good at. And that turned out to be creative real estate. Before I had gotten into real estate, creative real estate, all I basically understood about it was, you could buy a house with a 30-year mortgage, or if you were rich, you could pay cash. Like, I didn't know anything aside from that. That was my understanding.
Yeah.
But then I saw this video that was talking about the concept of wholesaling and creative real estate and problem solving, and piecing together solutions in ways that weren't ever necessarily the same old thing every single time. And it's really, every deal is different, and that really sparked my interest. And I looked more into that and began to search more online, and found a forum called Bigger Pockets, and just really dove in and started to learn as much as I could, consume as much content as I could around the concept of this creative real estate thing, specifically wholesaling and assigning. And that's where I got into real estate. And that's what made me realize, like, hey, there's something more out there. If there's other people doing this and they say they're having success with it, then the only difference between them and me is they know what to do. They're applying
Right.
some tactics, some knowledge. There's something that they have, information that I don't have. Other than that, it was basically, what's the difference between them and I? So it was just a mantra that kept me going, was, if they can do it, I can do it. And I just had to figure out how it was being done.
Right. Right. So there were a couple of things that you mentioned that I wanted to touch upon. There's a lot of entrepreneurs that listen to this podcast, or people that are just getting into entrepreneurship. And in the beginning, you said, as part of entrepreneurship, it's important to experiment and explore. And eventually you come into alignment with something that just kind of sticks with you, because you'll find interest in it. And that really kind of helps you find your passion, your purpose, your why. It's mainly about purpose and why. You probably have a passion. Most people have a passion. Now, the reason I wanted to touch upon this is because growing up, and for me personally as an Eastern European, and I think a lot of people are really kind of taught this linear path in life, right? That, you're supposed to go to school, go to college, get an education, the way shit has been done for 50, 100 years, for as long as we can remember. Well, that traditional path no longer works, simply because the 9 to 5 grind is really just a grind. It's a rat race. And people are just looking for more in life. So when you were talking about exploring and experimenting, now in the traditional linear path that most of us are raised, we're told that that's not safe to do,
Mm-hmm.
because it has so many inevitable things. And we do the things that are safe, that we know has worked, right? So it's interesting that you said that, like, well, trial and error, you're trialing and failing, to you figure out, like you said, all you knew was you can buy a house with a 30-year mortgage, or if you were rich, you could pay cash for it. So it was the lack of knowledge that you didn't have that was really holding you back. And once you acquired that knowledge and that practicality, you were able to get to where you are today. And I think that's the key element here that people don't understand, especially a lot of entrepreneurs, that you have to try and fail. You have to experiment. You have to explore until you find something that sticks to you, hopefully. Something that maybe you have a passion for, develop a passion for. So as you were kind of growing, you were learning, I think I was reading on here that in your first flip, you cleared over 44 grand, right? In your first flip. So was this like your first official, call it real estate flip, where like you had acquired some knowledge on how to do this? Or was this like your first kind of like a trial and error type of thing?
A bit of both, really. That was my first fix and flip deal. So prior to that, I had done some wholesale deals, some assigning, and but with the ultimate goal of fixing and flipping. But in order to build up the capital and really the understanding, and there's a lot more moving parts to a fix and flip versus an assignment deal. Now, that doesn't mean it's all that much harder, but there's just a lot more moving parts to understand. So a lot more liability, a lot more that you got to put into it, a lot more heartache too in some cases.
Sure.
So I had done some assignments and then built up the capital and a little bit of knowledge, enough to know how to market a little bit and really kind of locate deals and find deals. And that was my very first fix and flip deal, where I was able to indeed make over 44,000. And that's when it was like, man, this is truly has
Yeah.
the potential to change the rest of my life. And it was all through trial and error. I mean, I didn't really know at all what I was doing. It was just having faith in knowing, hey, if they can do it, I can do it, and taking just one step at a time, like not needing to know, being okay with not knowing what the next steps are going to be, other than just focusing on the very next step in front of me. Okay, what do I do now? Okay, what do I do now? And just constantly going back to
Right.
YouTube videos, real estate podcasts, and forums to find the answer. Okay, so I'm at this step now. What do I do? And just
Right.
keep pushing forward.
Right. One thing that I meant to ask you that I think there's probably a huge misconception is, so as you were getting into this, like, did you find that, hey, do I need to have any accreditations or certifications or anything, to do this?
No, the short answer is no. You don't have to have any sort of, I mean, there's no level of like formal education required. There's
Mm-hmm.
no, licensure or certification or anything like that. It's really just being able to solve problems, having an understanding of the buying and selling process of real estate, which you can completely learn online, and then just implementing it and just being able to
Right.
go forward and being able to solve people's problems, understanding, okay, they have situation, some sort of motivation, they've got a problem, and how can I help them solve that in a way that's mutually beneficial?
Right, right. The reason I asked this question is I think a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs specifically, are led into thinking that you need some kind of level of a formal education to do whatever it is that you want to do, right? And I keep thinking back to the saying that, formal education will help you build a career, real life education will help you build a fortune. And I might have butchered that quote, actually. I don't remember who it was by, but it's so true that it's like, the school of hard knocks is going to teach you a whole lot more, because that's ultimately what you did. Is you are on some forums, you're self-teaching yourself, self-educating yourself. You've got zero experience, zero practicality in doing this, and like, your first flip, you're clearing 44K, and I bet you most people around you are like, what the fuck, Jeremy? Like, how did you make this happen? They're probably wondering, like, here's this dude, like, no education about flipping real estate, and you just cleared 44K, which kind of leads me to, I want to spend a couple of minutes talking about the Friendly Flipper Academy, because for those people that are listening to this episode that are interested in real estate, house flipping, just flipping business, let's spend a couple of minutes. Tell us, what is the Friendly Flipper Academy, and how does it help people that want to get into real estate and flipping and all that?
Sure. So when I started, I had to basically fend for myself in the way that I was basically just trying to figure it all out, trying to piece it together, grabbing from all over the place to try to come up with the right answers. And there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
information out there. A lot of it's good, but a lot of it's also not so good. And so there's a bit of a learning curve in this whole thing. And the whole purpose of Friendly Flipper Academy was to be that person that I needed in one single place, one source, that when I was working my corporate job, that I could have helped that person myself, basically show them the path to, okay, here's what you do, here's what you don't do, all in one place, all consolidated, condensed
Right.
down to the need to knows, cut out all the fat, and just basically know what to do at every step of the way. And that came after I had done several deals, and I actually had a goal of doing 100 flips a year. And I expressed that to a mentor, and he was like, "That's a great goal, dude, but you're still not thinking big enough. That's still a self-centered goal." And I was like, "What?" And and he was like, "Yeah, there's more to it than that. Like, there's more. You could be doing more." And
Mm-hmm.
because when I first started getting into real estate, it was very much, just about me. How can I get out of my corporate job? But then it became bigger, and I found a bigger purpose, a bigger why, which was, hey, if I can help other people who are in that same situation that
Right.
I was in find their path to freedom, without all the struggles, without all the, ups and downs, and shortcut the learning curve really, because I mean, there's a lot of people that will give up. I mean, it's so much easier to try and stop if you don't have success right away. And if I can help them, because it's not necessarily their fault. It's not like they wouldn't be capable if they had the right information. It's just
Yeah.
that, life gets in the way, other things happen. And so, and maybe not everyone has that stick with itness that I did, but if I can help by shortcutting that learning curve and, showing
Yeah.
them the path, then it's rewarding on an entirely different level. The
Yeah.
money is great with real estate, but being able to impact other people's lives it's rewarding on a whole nother level. So I created Friendly
Right.
Flipper Academy, which is a combination of online courses, um, live one-on-one, as well as live group coaching and mentoring, as well as even a partnership opportunity for the right fit, where we could potentially do deals together to really allow people to take that leap from the corporate world, or if they
Yeah.
want to get out of their job without having to, piece all the stuff together. It's all in one place where they can find the information, and literally has all the steps from finding a house to knowing how
Yeah.
to evaluate it, make the offer, how to find financing, dispelling all the myths and things, that all the, misconceptions out there, how to hire contractors, how to manage a job, how to put it up for sale, all the best practices, so someone else can actually go out and duplicate that in any market and have success with real estate.
Yeah. Yeah. As you were kind of talking about the Friendly Flipper Academy, one thing that I wanted to share is so, as the saying goes, that one man's trash and another is another man's gold. That's another quote. And so I remember watching probably, well, several of your Facebook Lives. And I remember in one of them, you had like arrived at this like total dump house, like, which of course is the majority of the flips. That's why it's called a flip, right? I remember like when you were live, like you were just showing the environment, and it was just like you could tell there was a complete neglect, like trash everywhere, old cars sitting adjacent to the house. Inside the house was like just a hodgepodge. Most people were like, "Nah, I'm not dealing with that shit." But that's just it. Like
Yeah,
people don't understand that, like I said, one man's trash is another man's gold. And that's what it takes, I think, in any business, not just real estate, but in any business, is just, I mean, to do the dirty work, right? Because that's where the opportunity is. That's where the solution
absolutely.
is. And the reason I wanted to talk about this, that I think there's too many entrepreneurs out there that have a complete misconception to what entrepreneurship is. They feel like, oh, I'm going to be the next Steve Jobs or Bill Gates because I have a phenomenal business idea or product or service. Nah, bro, it doesn't work that way. Unfortunately, it's a lot of trial and errors. So that's why I wanted you to talk about Friendly Flipper, because a lot of newcomers to this game, and you've been in entrepreneurship now for several years, doing this and with Friendly Flipper Academy, but some of these youngsters that are coming into the game just like are completely uneducated as to what it takes. And so with the Friendly Flipper Academy, anyone that wants to get into real estate and house flipping, is this is a proven method that basically takes away all the failures. So this is like a proven system, like you said, from start to finish, how to buy your first flip, prospecting, financing, putting on the market, remodel, like the whole 9 yards. How can people that are interested in this episode about Friendly Flipper Academy, like what, throw out some URLs, socials, how can they access it, if they wanna learn more about house flipping?
Sure. That's three great places to find me. And that is Instagram at the Friendly Flipper. If you want to catch the daily life of a house flipper, I'm always posting on stories on there. And second place, YouTube, again, at the Friendly Flipper. And then friendlyflipperacademy.com is where you can get more information on the academy itself.
Awesome, Jeremy. Awesome. Well, congratulations and everything, man. It's been, exciting seeing you, everything that you've been doing, and I think the best is yet to come. I
I
feel
would
like with
agree.
the friendly flipper you've just started, personally, I've watched you over the last couple of years off and on social media, and you're just you're knocking doors, chasing opportunities, and doing the work. The only other thing I think I wanted to spend a minute to kind of talk about is, because this is really just my own curiosity, really, is so with everything that's happening right now, with COVID-19 and everything else, politically and economically, like, have you seen a change in the real estate space with like house flipping, or have you seen an increase in an opportunity? What's your thoughts? What's your experience with over the last 3 months, 4 months?
Yeah, it's been interesting, right? It's been,
Mm-hmm.
man, things seem to change almost week to week at this point. We're all going, and it's crazy because we're all going through this together. So it's something we can all relate with. Um, I mean, you can make money in real estate in an up market, in a down market. It just all depends on the strategy that you employ. As far as what I'm seeing right now,
Mm-hmm.
locally, we're seeing houses that are priced right are selling quicker than they were 6 months ago. I mean, they're flying off the shelves. They're um, because inventory is actually lower here now. I think that's due to a lot of people that had the option to sell but didn't need to sell, took their houses off the market. So then we've got somewhat of a shortage of houses,
Mm-hmm.
and then yet we have interest rates that are lower than ever, literally historic lows into the twos even, which is crazy. So you've got people ready to buy.
Yeah.
They've got the purchasing power. They've got, they're wanting to become homeowners for the first time or upgrade homes. And so we've got this interesting combination. It's a great time in my local market if you're selling, because you're getting multiple offers in the first 2 days, 3 days, often if it's priced correctly.
Yeah.
And then it's also a great time to buy because of interest rates. Um, as far as what I think will continue, I mean, what we'll see, I don't have a crystal ball, but based on kind of where the economy is going and I think the kind of after effects of everything that's been going on, there is, quite a few people that are going to want to start selling in, I would say, the next 6 to 12 months,
Mm-hmm.
it's whether it was in their plans or not 6 months ago. I foresee that being in a lot of people's agendas going forward, because, I mean, the reality is the job market isn't the same as it was, and it may never be exactly the same as it shifts, to more working from home or virtual, working. Some jobs transitioning from, you know, having to show up every day to
Yeah.
different things. The world's changing, and so basically everyone's going to be faced with, you can either stick to your old ways or you can adapt. And life isn't necessarily about the survival of the fittest, but it's about the survival of those who can adapt. So it's going to be, you're going to have people that are going to ultimately be faced with, say, now they know they have a lack of income now, but they have a house, there's equity in it. So if it comes down to it, they're better off cashing out on that equity in some way while they restructure and find a new
Right.
career or something that they, move on to the next phase. Where if they just sat and did nothing and aren't able to pay their mortgage, they would end up facing foreclosure. So
Right.
as a real estate investor, we can come we can come to them with creative solutions that are much more beneficial than, foreclosure. Whether that be structuring a seller financing deal, um, helping them list their house if that's what they want to do, assisting with some sort of loan modification, just educating. As long as we can get
Right.
out there and educate as creative real estate investors, that's where we add value to the market, and that's where we ultimately help people. Because I mean, we're all facing a different situation than
Right.
we were so many months ago. So it's about how can we help people adapt to that so they don't get left behind and end up in a worst case scenario.
Yeah. 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 It's definitely, times are very challenging. And I think with the real estate space, I think it's varying on so many levels. It's varying per, localities also. But like you said, I think you're totally right. The next 6 to 12 months is going to be a huge shift. And like you said, I think a lot of people are using this opportunity that have, the buying power to purchase property at a very low cost, because there's a lot of people that are going to sell, whether it's, avoiding foreclosure, changing career, or they just want to move on to the next house. But I think it's going to be a good opportunity. So, with that being said, again, before we wrap things up, throw out social handles, Friendly Flipper Academy website. If people want to get plugged in, what's the best way to get connected with you and the Academy?
Hey, best way to connect with me directly is on Instagram at the Friendly Flipper, as well as my YouTube channel has a bunch of free content on house flipping and more. That's the Friendly Flipper. And then friendlyflipperacademy.com is where you can get more information and even sign up for the Academy and the courses on there.
Awesome. Jeremy, thank you so much, man, for coming on the show and jamming with me. I appreciate it.
No, definitely. I appreciate the opportunity, Ivan.